I'm Jasdeep Hansra, and I look after the UK wealth business here at Xtrackers by DWS. So an ETF stands for an exchange-traded fund. The fund tracks an index like the S&P 500 or the MSCI World, and the exchange-traded nature of it means that you can trade it intraday like a stock on an exchange. And for example, exchange-traded funds are listed here in the UK on the LSE. But as we've seen the market develop, there's more granularity in the offering that is given to retail clients. Ultimately, ETFs are there for the DIY investor to be able to construct their own portfolio, and also to be able to take, as I mentioned, more granular and more tactical views on what's happening in the market. So when equity ETFs first came to the market, it was all about the core exposures. Large regional exposures like the S&P 500 or the MSCI Europe or MSCI Japan. And what's really happened is that the product range has proliferated. There's now much more of an in-depth offering, and we're starting to see clients use these in a more tactical way. Interestingly, over the last few years, the market volatility has really shone light on where asset allocation decisions should be made. Should it be across countries? Should it be more across sectors? Or should it be more across factors? And the dispersion gap that we've seen between different sectors, for example, energy and technology, and also look and diligent look on some of these other exposures beyond the core regional equities. Well, there are a number of different factors to consider when evaluating one ETF versus another. Now, clearly the first thing is the actual index. So even something like the S&P 500 against the MSCI USA, there are substantial differences between them. And an investor's selection really will be down to the index that they choose. But even if they're looking at the same index, there are certain considerations that need to be given consideration. For example, the performance that an individual house delivers, things like stability of that performance, the securities lending program that might take place, and clearly, the solidity of the firm, any collateral that they use. It's not just about performance, it's about how that performance is generated in a safe manner. So what we've seen in the last few years since COVID really is that German retail investors have become a lot more involved in actively putting their savings into investments. And most of that's come through in ETFs, through regular savings plans. Now, what's happened in Germany is also happening more broadly across Europe, in particular in Southern Europe, but now coming here to the UK as well with platforms like InvestEngine. And really it's about long-term investments into low-cost, transparent instruments, which will allow savings to grow over time. Well, not all ETF investors actually want diversification. Those who do can be looking to broad indices like MSCI World, or diversifying an S&P 500 by going to equal weight. But on the other hand, there are many who will want to be more granular in their exposures, and they'll be able to pick certain regions, certain sectors, or certain factors to really pinpoint their particular investment views. As an industry, we've really done a bad job of breaking down jargon for the individual investor. I think what ETFs really offer is a balance of transparency, simplicity, and of course, cost effectiveness. And ultimately, for the individual investor thinking over a long time horizon, they want to be having something that they know is transparent, that they know is cost effective, and that ultimately they can use to put together a portfolio using different asset classes, so equities, fixed income, and alternatives. So to summarize, it's about creating a portfolio that makes a lot more sense and that is more cost effective so that more money stays in your pocket and less money goes to fees. The last few years have been so diversified. There's been so many different things going on in financial markets. We've seen structural changes off the back of COVID. We've seen a lot of volatility. We've seen changes in globalization. So investing in markets is about being at the forefront of what's happening in the world today. But I think there's a softer angle here. The investment industry is also about providing a route for people to put their savings into their future livelihoods. It's about people investing for their pensions, saving up for a new home, or perhaps a wedding, or even for their kids and grandkids. So ultimately, this industry is all about, at its best, trying to be a noble profession and trying to help individuals to take their hard-earned savings and put them into a better life for the future. And that's what we, as a business at Xtrackers, are keen to help our clients to achieve.